If you came from the previous video, you were redirected. Please subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a like. Greetings from the Red Black. This is Flamengo. If you're arriving here and haven't watched the previous video, I'm going to redirect this one back to the previous video, which has a lot more information for you, but you definitely won't regret it. Here on the channel, there's always a lot of information about Mengao. We have information here that Flamengo is training today. Aiming for the match against Vitória, Flamengo had to train with no time or date to rest. So after this 7-1 victory, this 7-1 thrashing, Flamengo trained there. This Sunday then, the coach led an activity at 11 a.m. at the Ninho do Urubu training center. As usual, players who played over 45 minutes against Sampaio Corrêa will do gym recovery. They already did it, right? It's done. The others will go out to the field under the command of Coach Felipe Luis. They went out to the field, right, guys? It's because this report is from earlier. We had Bruno Henrique speaking after the game saying the following: happy for the win, for the team's performance, but it's still not enough. We're still getting back our physical form. Today's victory brings us a bit of peace of mind so we can keep working and stay focused for the next challenges. Also, let me mention that we had an important situation here. Flamengo has signed a player from Mirassol for the under-20 team, but he will be available for the professional squad next year. It's a reinforcement for the youth team, but he will be available for next year. Flamengo has signed the left-back Ramírez, who was on Mirassol's under-20 team. According to Flabase Flazuero, the player joins Flamengo in his final year of youth eligibility and is already available to coach Bruno Pivete for upcoming matches. Ramírez is expected to join Flamengo's professional squad next year, having signed a contract through 2028. So Flamengo has closed the deal. Flamengo has signed the fullback from Mirassol. Look, we were talking about Bruno Henrique. Bruno Henrique has reached 350 games wearing Flamengo's jersey. So 350 games. He says that yesterday was a very special night, one of those that will stay in his memory. I reached 350 games for the biggest and most passionate club in the world. Very honored and happy to be part of this beautiful story, a story written with dedication, respect, and a lot of love. Bruno Henrique wrote, "To this jersey, my Flamengo, I like you." Sensational. We also have some important information here to share about Alan before we get to that topic. Regarding the issue with Kaio, Jorge, Pedro, and Tite wanting to sign Pedro, we've looked into it. We already have the information here regarding Flamengo, the Flamengo Corinthians issue about signing Alan. The information from Globo Esporte is that Flamengo and Corinthians are still trying to reach an agreement for the transfer of midfielder Alan. Flamengo is being firm, refusing to release the player without financial compensation. Besides the €2.5 million purchase option we discussed yesterday, there's also an extra fee if he plays against Flamengo. Corinthians made a no-cash offer and consider the deal unlikely if payment is required. The clubs are still negotiating and hope to agree tomorrow. In addition to Corinthians, São Paulo, Santos, and Vasco are interested. However, I've heard Vasco and Flamengo refuse to strengthen another Rio team. And then the other teams that are interested also run into financial issues. At Flamengo, everything becomes a soap opera, even Alan's departure. It's impressive. Yeah, so people here are saying that negotiating Alan really is the best way, but for free, right? Man, that's complicated, isn't it? Look at that. We had a situation that happened in the Flamengo game against Sampaio Corrêa, which I thought was really cool. The Éric Pulgar people talk a lot about Pulgar, saying he's violent, that he goes in hard, that he's tough. Okay, we love Pulgar, but he has a heart of gold. Pulgar has a heart of gold. Pulgar. Yesterday, Flabolado made a post here. Check it out.
Pulgar called the Sampaio Corrêa player after the game to swap jerseys, but he only had one and needed to wash it to wear again. Unlike Flamengo, they don't have many jerseys. Pulgar still gave him his. That's what soccer is about, honestly.
Man, that's really cool. Éric Pulgar took his jersey and gave it to the Sampaio Corrêa player. There he said no. He put his hand on his shoulder and said, no, it's all good, man. You deserve it and all. Keeping the jersey is really a very nice gesture from Éric Pulgar, right? The guy might have thought he wouldn't be able to get a Flamengo jersey, and he ended up getting Éric Pulgar's jersey. He's a player, an iconic player for Flamengo. Look, we have an interview from our partner Angelo Furtado with Duda Fournier, right? Lucas Paquetá's wife. Let's see what she has to say here. So
it was emotional and surprising when she handed him the microphone and said, "Oh my God, what's he going to say? I'm already worried." Then he said it and it moved us. We didn't expect it. And they are our little mirrors, right? So they see the faith we have, the faith that their father has a lot of faith. So it ends up passing that on to them. It moved many people, not because of the team or Flamengo, but because it was about hope and the faith we have in God, a God who renews everything. He learned that from a young age, so it's beautiful to see. That's enough, I think.
They're really cute, right, man? We really hope everything works out. Paquetá will make it. Yesterday, he already played really well. Felipe said he's a little anxious, obviously, right? Because of all this pressure coming back and everything, wanting to do things quickly, solve things quickly. He ended up missing 2 important goals already. But man, he played really well yesterday, so he's going to get it right. I have no doubt, right, that Lucas Paquetá is going to get it right at Flamengo. And look.
And that was his reaction, seeing that mosaic there at the beginning of the game, right?
His reaction is emotional, right? He was very happy. I think we already dreamed about all of this, and the reception, the warmth from the fans was better than he imagined. He was very happy.
And for you all, he mentioned in the interview that he came back mostly because of you, right? He said, look, the ideal moment would be when she also said it was time to come back. How was your decision to return to Brazil and, of course, to Flamengo, right?
I saw he needed this, but he wasn't. I need to see my husband happy at work, at home with us, so I felt that this was what he needed. Now, he was sure about it, and there was no way not to be. So we came, and we thank God that everything worked out.
Behind every great man, there he is nowadays. Always there he is behind. Let's be serious. Behind every great man, there's always a great woman. That's a reality. It's a very true saying. And man, I wanted to ask you guys what you thought of Flamengo's new goalkeeper jersey. It's gray, right? I thought it was really beautiful, man. That dark rowing color, man. It turned out awesome, really awesome. Look at that. I thought it was spectacular. Andrew's got the new jersey. Hope it brings lots of luck. Gray jersey. But man, it's really cool, really cool. Let me bring you the news I was talking about, which was brought by the channel Antenados. In the play, David Sharp, he brought this information about Tite. Is he interested? Cruzeiro interested in signing Pedro? And then I made an interesting comment, but look, let's see here.
Look, stay tuned. If Flamengo accepts this here, it will be the biggest proof of incompetence we've ever seen from this current Flamengo management.
BAP is competent and won't do that. It's an exclusive election.
You know I have credibility and rarely post transfer rumors. In fact, I hardly ever post.
But hold on, okay, because it could be a case if it happened. And I'm already going to bring here the version from a source close to the board. If it happened, it would be a different kind of deal. Okay, David?
I only bet on information I actually receive that I believe is trustworthy, that it's something that could happen. And Tite, man, Tite really likes this player. I'm about to spoil something about Pedro.
You know,
Pedro had a great 2024 with Tite at Flamengo. It was the best year, maybe one of the best years. I don't know if it was the best.
In Pedro's career in 2022.
30 goals in 40-something games.
Not 2022, but Kaio was great.
Jorge last year, and
now
Tite wants to take Tite, who, from what I heard, also won't fall that quickly. They're keeping Tite, who insists on taking Pedro, and Pedro Lorenzo is willing to pay.
Oh, the penalty is high, huh?
I explained it. Everything's in this video. Look.
Not that, so he said that, so let's go. Tite and Cruzeiro are interested in Pedro. I talked to a source connected to Flamengo's board, okay? And look, that's it. There hasn't been anything until now. In other words, Cruzeiro has never approached Flamengo about Pedro, okay? Flamengo hasn't even had any inquiries. They haven't been approached by Cruzeiro regarding interest in Pedro. And what I said was this: if Cruzeiro really wants Pedro, I wouldn't be surprised if Flamengo trades Pedro for Kaio Jorge. And then they'll have the player Felipe wants with the profile Felipe wants, and then Flamengo goes and gets Marcos Leonardo on loan, because then Felipe would have a player with the characteristics he thinks Pedro has, since he thinks Marcos Leonardo is very similar to Pedro. He would keep a player with those characteristics coming in on a monetized loan, not too expensive. He wouldn't spend that much. He'd trade Pedro for Kaio Jorge to get both players in positions. A forward with the mobility and pressing that he wants. Like Kaio Jorge, he would have Kaio Jorge and Marcos Leonardo in that position. Pedro, if that's the case, it's not a sign of incompetence, David. If that's it, it's actually a great move. But like I told you guys here, we investigate things. We bring the news without bias, without always showing a face, without having any doubts about anything. We bring the news already investigated, the news. We already spoke to a board source to see if Flamengo was contacted by Cruzeiro or knows about their interest in Pedro. No, there's nothing. Okay, so we already assume that there's nothing. Nothing has come in. But we also evaluate the whole context, the whole situation. If they really haven't made contact yet and end up doing it, they say, look, let's make a straight swap here, 1-for-1. Pedro, Kaio, Jorge, Flamengo would probably accept. I'm sure Flamengo would accept this deal. For Cruzeiro, it's great since Pedro is a great player. Tite likes him, and I think he's better than Kaio Jorge. And for Flamengo, it would solve this problem because Kaio Jorge would leave for Flamengo. Flamengo wouldn't spend 50 million euros to sign Kaio Jorge. They trade for Pedro, take the money they would spend on Kaio Jorge and save it. They'll pay a small amount there, a monetized loan and all, but only half the salary they want them to pay, right? Al Hilal and the signing bonuses are settled. You'll get everything. You just need two things. A player like Pedro, though I still prefer Pedro, but you'll have Marcos Leonardo and Kaio Jorge. If that's the deal, where do I sign? I'll sign now. I think Pedro, for me, is better than Kaio Jorge, better than Marcos Leonardo. He's better than both, but then you'd have two. You get it? You'd have two. So it's not about disrespecting Pedro, because Pedro's better than both of them, right? He's better than Kaio Jorge and Marcos Leonardo, but he's older, and we know that, right? Flamengo would spend less and have both positions. I would only sign for that. For me, I would sign if he was to do that. Trade with Cruzeiro, get both Kaio Jorge and Marcos Leonardo, sign now. Pedro is fantastic. In my opinion, he's better than both of them. I mean, no disrespect to Pedro. I'm talking about Flamengo having one player and then having two great ones, also two excellent players. Do you agree? Comment. I'd like to see your comment here. Is that right? Subscribe, enable notifications, and like the video. Red and black greetings. This is Flamengo.